This is One Sentence News, a daily podcast featuring 3 news stories with a sentence-long summary and 1 sentence of context apiece. I'm Colin Wright. This is a sponsored message. I've been using Anchor as my podcast host for a while now, and it's been a pleasure to use. Anchor offers benefits that most other hosts do not. It's free to use, but it also has a collection of tools that allow you to create a podcast completely within the Anchor website or smartphone app. They distribute your show to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other distribution channels without any additional effort on your part, and you can make money from your podcast without any minimum audience size. So you can use it as a more traditional podcast host like I do, but it's also got everything you need to start a podcast from scratch. If you're keen to give it a shot, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It's Thursday, November 17th, 2022. Let's talk about the news. From Reuters, Russia pounds Ukraine in heaviest missile strikes of war. Russia has launched what seems to be its biggest missile barrage of the invasion so far, knocking out energy infrastructure across Ukraine and hitting all sorts of civilian targets, maybe unintentionally, maybe not, in the process. It's thought that Russia might have used up a significant portion of its remaining missile supplies to conduct these strikes, but it may prove to have been a worthwhile gamble, as knocking out energy infrastructure as winter begins to descend across a very cold, snowy region can cause a lot of additional damage, human and otherwise, beyond the missile strikes themselves. One positive note in an otherwise grim story is that a missile that landed in Poland the other day, killing 2 farmers, seems to have been from a Ukrainian missile defense system and was likely not launched from or by Russia, which makes a full-blown conflict between Russia and NATO, at this point anyway, a lot less likely. From the Financial Times, Donald Trump officially launches 2024 U.S. presidential bid. Former U.S. President Donald Trump officially announced his candidacy for president in 2024 on Tuesday, amidst a wave of concern and consternation from his own Republican Party. Many people throughout the Republican leadership have been blaming Trump for the recent suboptimal outcome of the midterm elections, as many of the people he chose and backed failed in races that seemed like they would be easy wins for less extreme Republican candidates. Even the mainstream Republican media ecosystem has largely turned its back on Trump, with the New York Post, owned by the same parent company as Fox News and the Wall Street Journal, welcomed Trump's announcement with a bottom-of-the-cover headline reading, quote, "Florida man makes announcement, page 26, end quote. Which is a pretty sweet burn, but also an indication that Trump may have trouble getting as much positive press in this upcoming election cycle as he did last time around. And from BBC News, NASA's Artemis moon rocket lifts off Earth. After 2 previous scrapped launches, the U.S. space agency NASA has launched its most powerful rocket ever, moonward. The Artemis launch vehicle carries the Orion spacecraft, which will be crewed in future missions, but is uncrewed for this test mission that will see it circle the moon and then return to Earth, ultimately landing in the Pacific Ocean. Artemis is meant to return humans to the moon more than 50 years after the Apollo 17 mission, which was the last time we were there as a species, and the program is meant to eventually result in a sustained human presence on the moon, complete with habitats, rovers, and a mini space station orbiting overhead. If you're finding some value in One Sentence News, consider leaving a quick review wherever you get your podcasts and/or sharing the show with a friend. You can find out more about this show or subscribe to the email version at onesentencenews.com, and you can support this and other related projects like the Let's Know Things and Brain Lenses podcasts at understandery.com.